Long, tumultuous, unpredictable. These are words that describe not only the season we've seen the AMG Sportscar Challenge, but the track in which the final round will take place. It seems fitting that this incredible series wraps up its second season at the classic location of Spa-Francorchamps. You're watching the final round of the Autobahn Motorcar Group Sportscar Challenge, brought to you live on the Global Sim Racing channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak. With me in the booth tonight, covering the prototype and GT2 classes, is Kevin Brown, and keeping tabs on the GT3 and GTD classes is Bill Soupzon. Kevin, this place is no stranger to GT racing, and even after going through some drastic changes in size, layout, and safety, it's still considered by many one of the most challenging in the world. Tell us what the drivers will be up against.
Well, Joe, you kind of said it. This is absolutely one of the most difficult tracks in the world. 4.3 miles, 7 kilometers, about 19 turns, depending on how you count them. All kinds of different types of turns, too. You got some significant elevation change, hairpins, some really fast corners, and some enormously long straights that all cars can draft another car off of. So setup is very much, you have to find something that works for every kind of corner, so you're going to be stronger in some places and weaker in other places, and maybe your competitors have chosen something different for you. But to give you a sense of what it's like to drive on this track, we've got a lap guide for you right now.
Chance to get beside another car in the braking zone. I've seen passes made both inside and outside, so pick your poison and hold firm. There's even a possibility of pulling a switchback if you time it right. But as we pull back to the main straight, we've now finished a lap around Spa. From inside the cockpit, you definitely get an idea of just how much the elevation changes are, as Kevin mentioned. We've had a lot of ups and downs as well, and the points chase, at least in some of them, some of the other ones have been a little more straightforward. But to get an idea of where they all sit here at the end of the season at the final race, let's go to Bill.
Well, Joe, I'm calling this report spoiler alert, and I'm left with the dilemma of, as a reporter, when you sacrifice the drama for the sake of passing along accurate information. Now, my wife and I just finished rewatching Breaking Bad, and Walter White has terminal cancer in the very first episode. So I feel confident in saying that, spoiler alert, Walter White dies at the end of Breaking Bad. Now, On contrary to that, if you haven't seen a movie like Bruce Willis's Sixth Sense, I'm not nearly as confident as giving away that ending because I don't want to ruin a good movie. So now, what do I do when it comes to talking about the point standings? Well, it's going to kind of fall into the Breaking Bad category, and I'm going to give the spoiler alerts here. So first, let's start by looking at the team championship. Now, keep in mind, teams consist of no more than 4 drivers, 1 from each of the classes, with the top 3 results from each of the top 3 drivers going towards the team championship point total, with 1 dropped race allowed. Now, spoiler alert, Autobahn Motorsports West will be your champion. The biggest contribution was from Billy Smith in the Caddy, but John Ulmer in the prototypes and Leif Peterson in the GT3 class made a big contribution. Now the jury is still out though for second place, where Talon Racing leads Excelsior by a mere 3 points. Now Excelsior's 1-2 punch of Jason Deep Freeze DeVries and Kevin Binkley in the prototype and Corvette has been matched by the 2 talent attack of McGuinness in the BMW and Brandon Postma in the Caddy. Now if we move over to the Drivers' Championship, in the prototype, DeVries has a 14-point lead over Ulmer, and while maybe this isn't locked up, spoiler alert, I think Deep Freeze makes the grid here today. He's going to be your championship in this one. Attention should be given, though, to Jason Girard on the second Excelsior team, who sits in third and is on a 4-race win streak. You know, only Girard's late arrival to the dance is what's kept him from going home with the prettiest girl. Now, in the GT2 division, spoiler alert, Kevin Binkley is the champ, some 49 points ahead of Autobahn's East drivers Paul Slavonic. Hey, a diet of consistent finishes from Dave Hill safely has him in third. Let's go over to the GT3 class, and the GSRC stat boys have informed me that because of a couple third-place finishes that McGuinness has in his pocket, spoiler alert, Jim McGuinness is going to be your champion. Now, the racing gods this season were not kind to P1 Racing John Paquin. He's going to need to settle for second place. Peterson should hold down the final podium. And then in the GTD division, spoiler alert, Billy Smith will be your champ. Ross Booth of TMC Racing and Brandon Postma should fill out the remaining podiums. Now here's some warning for everybody. Make sure that you've watched, if you're one of the few people who haven't watched The Sixth Sense, make sure you watch that, because I don't want to spoil it for you. Sometime next season, in season 3, I'm probably going to talk about the ending of that movie. Joe, have you seen The Sixth Sense?
I have seen The Sixth Sense. I have to admit, though, I took my headphones off when you started talking about Breaking Bad, though.
Okay.
So
don't worry, I didn't give anything away.
Okay,
all right.
Okay. Yes, I have seen The Sixth Sense, and actually, I'm quite an M. Night fan, though. I haven't seen any of his latest ones since I hear not too many good things about them. But anyways, away from movie talk, let's get back to the action on track. We still got a little bit of time to fill before we get to the green flag. We mentioned the difficulty of the track, but there's also parts off of the track, Kevin, that will give these drivers a bit of a hard time. The pit lane, usually we talk about the entry and the exit, but it's not those parts that the drivers have to worry about this time.
Yeah, well, today we are on the endurance layout. This is the layout that has 60 pit stalls. Count them, 60 pit stalls. Uses the Grand Prix pits up on the what's called the pit straight between the chicane. Yes, it's a chicane. It's not a bus stop. And the La Source hairpin. And then also uses the old historic pit lane down along the run from La Source down to Eau Rouge. And in between there's a very, very tight, nasty little hairpin in there in the pit lane, and you got to do it at about 37 miles an hour, and it's skinnier than most cars are wide. So these fat cars, like the HPDs and the McLarens, might run into a little problem where they smack the right side of their car on that inside of that pit lane. So watch out for that. Not to mention, it's a long pit lane. It's about 60 seconds driving at that 37 miles an hour. So you want to stay out of there as much as possible. Don't get yourself any penalties. Do not revisit pit lane for any reason whatsoever, please.
Yeah, well, they've got enough runoff space in most of the areas on the track, so I don't think that should be too much of a problem unless they come in contact with another car. Although I guess Eau Rouge can tend to throw people off and definitely can find the barriers there. But the places that they're not going to be looking at the barriers, hopefully, is some of the places they're looking to pass Bill. And what are some of the spots you expect guys to try and be taking a look and get an overtake done?
Oh, man, there's lots of long straights on this one. So it's a matter of whether those drivers in the faster classes are patient enough to wait for where it's going to be easy. You're going to be able to pass 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cars in the slower divisions. around here with those long straights, especially the one that goes into the hairpin there on from Eau Rouge down to the right hand corner down there. Plenty of spaces to make it. I don't see class passing as big as a problem if everybody is patient here. I have to, as I say that, I want to see if Mr. Excitement is here today. Yes, Robert Tinsey is here though, so that's always exciting to watch him go through these cars.
He definitely gives us some action.
He doesn't need straightaways. He can do it anyway. Watch him go through them at the bus stop.
Well, I'll tell you what, though, as much as we mention Robert's tendency to try and rush in on traffic, he's actually said on the forum thread for this league that it's changed how he's raced here, just in dealing with all the different classes. So it's not like he hasn't altered his approach slightly since he showed up here. And he's a top-notch driver, so that doesn't surprise me that, he's learned a thing or two and tried to adapt to his surroundings. So let's look at some of the other stories we need to worry about. Let's really briefly mention, though, that there's going to be changes. A few cars disappearing, a few new ones being added next season. We'll talk a little bit more in depth. But, Kevin, what are some of the new cars that we're going to be looking at when we roll out with Season 3?
Well, I'm told it's going to be a British and German invasion. We're going to see the roof track replace the McLaren MP412C in the GT3 class. And to replace that British car, it's going to be another British car. The Aston Martin DBR9 is going to join that Corvette in the GT1 class, although they're not calling it GT1 next season, and I'm drawing a complete blank on what they're going to call it next season. We'll get to that next season for sure. Unfortunately, the Cadillac and that lovely, lovely engine noise will not be back next season. I'm sad to see that, but the participation numbers just aren't there. But having three classes next season, the HPD, the Corvette and the Aston Martin in one class, and the BMW and the roof, which is effectively a Porsche 911 in the same class, should produce some fantastic racing next season.
And Joe, to follow up on what Kevin was saying about the Caddy and that big engine, and I was talking about the long straights, it's going to be interesting to see what that Cadillac can do here. We've seen it really fast on the last couple races. In fact, where it runs right in there with the GT3 cars. I think it's going to be really strong here.
I wouldn't doubt that. Looking at the current poll for the Cadillacs, it's J.D. Baumgartner, and he's only behind two of the GT3 cars. And this time it's John Paquin, which we're not surprised about. But hey, look at this. Dexter Castro, newcomer to the series, sitting in second in the GT3s. We'll have to see what he can throw up, and I believe he's in a BMW.
Yeah, well, he's 49 Motorsports is going to make a full-on attack of this series next season, so I think he's coming in here getting his feet wet, prepping for Season 3, which should be really exciting.
Undoubtedly. In fact, JD is so fast in his caddy, he's faster right now than Robert Sklanka, who's lower than him on the timing sheets. Brett Frosine, is also down there, but he has not set a lap time yet. In fact, there's a couple cars of our 41 that have showed up today that have not put in lap times in qualifying. That can be a little bit difficult, though, Kevin, with the 1X incidents around here and what that does to your laps.
Right. So for viewers that aren't aware, iRacing has a safety rating that they call it, a way to institute fair play and keep people from wrecking each other all the time. Well, the way they measure that is by recording incidents. And an incident is if you drive off track, so if you get half of your car off the track, or if you make contact with another car, or you spin, or you make contact with the wall, you earn incident points. Well, there's a set number of incident points allowed in this race before you get disqualified. So that number today is 24. If you get 24 of those incident points, you will see that car vanish after a few seconds. We've seen that before. Usually kind of catches us out and surprises us as commentators. And we won't really know until after the race is over. But very easy to do here. It's very easy to run wide and get that 1X. As you go off, anywhere you see kind of the green pavement on next to the curbing, that's an area where you can get a 1X, and drivers need to be very, very careful about that. But you can actually kind of use it strategically, run a little wide, gain a little extra speed going into or out of the corner, maybe defend or make a pass there.
And the other thing that it does is deletes your lap time if you are in qualifying, which is why you see a couple guys, even after as much qualifying time as they had, not able to get a lap in. So we'll see if anybody sneaks it in here as they finish their hot laps, because the checkered flag is out. And other than those guys finishing up laps, everybody else should be solidified into their times in qualifying. I see that Paul Lindsay's out there looking to finish his up. So is Darren Kuhn. Let's see if there's anybody else on track. Paul Slavonic's got a ways to go. He's only going through Pouan right now. And it looks like those are the only 3 left completing their laps out on track at the moment. And Lindsay aborts his. Kuhn might have been interrupted as he finishes his lap as well. Slavonic with an interesting Mountain Dew scheme on his car this race.
Joe, I think it's interesting to note here, we got to do the grids real quick when they come up, but Excelsior Racing, their top two 1-2 punch, DeVries and Binkley are both sitting in 4th in qualifying in the classes.
So those guys are going to be having to make a few passes there. Yeah.
And I bring that up only because that's one of the classes, the championship. They're in that battle for second place in the team championship with Talon Racing.
So that will be significant as the race goes on. Slavonic crosses the line, and it looks like he does not improve on his time. So let's go through the grid. On pole, it's going to be Jason Girard, the current driver on a winning streak, 4 in a row. Let's see if he can make it 5. John Ulmer will start on the outside of the front row, with Robert Tinsey starting row 2 and 3rd. Jason DeVries, as Bill mentioned, will start in 4th, with Matt Quinn in 5th. Then we have Chance Kelly, Kevin, who will start in 6th.
In 7th will be W. Mark Ponick. 8th, Robert Jackman. 9th, Kevin Santana. 10th is David Sockrider. Jeffrey Price will come in 11th. Troy Schuster gets the pole in 12th. Bill.
In the Baker's Dozen spot, 2nd in class, Dino Topich, followed by Paul Darling. Kevin Binkley, what we talked about, starting 15th, 4th in class. Paul Slavonic, and then Billy Smith in 17th position, moving to the Cadillac into the Corvette. And in 18th, Dave Hill. Joe?
In 19th, it'll be Sheldon Woloshin, then David Henry in 20th. Pole sitter for the GT3s will be John Paquin in 21st overall. And then we're back to GT2s with David McCowd, a new driver, in 22nd. Christopher Sherburne starts the race in 23rd, followed by second-place GT3 car Dexter Castro in 24th overall. Kevin?
In 25th will be the pole-sitting Cadillac of J.D. Baumgartner. 26th is Robbie Morrison. 27th, Robert Sklinka. And 28th is Jim McInnes. In 29th is Leif Peterson. And in 30th is Ross Booth. Bill.
31st are 2 more Cadillacs here of Paul Lindsay and Brandon Postma. Then we go to a couple BMW. Actually, those are McLarens. No. Jabinski is down in there in the GT3 now running. He's going to start 33rd. Brian Bird in 34th. Kyle Pitson in 35th. And rounding out, Matt Owens in 36th. Joe?
Then the last of the field, it's Joe Wren in 37th in the GT3s. Darren Kuhn in the GTD class in 38th. And it looks like he is going to be the last of the field, as I do not see... Oh, no, Brett Trocine is lined up. So he is going to start 39th. Ben Likens is not going to be out there. And Sheldon Rosenbaum looks like he has not appeared either. So we're going to get a field of 39 cars. It's a large track, and they're going to need pretty much all the space they can get. Lights are up, which means the pace car is going to start leading them around Blanchimont to the start-finish line. Now, the pace car is going to take off a little bit early and head into the pits, with this being the long endurance layout. Then it's going to be Gerard leading them all the way around La Source down to the start-finish line that heads down the hill towards Eau Rouge. Speaking of the pits, we do have a pit reporter with us today. It is Michael Smitty Smith who is joining us down there. And Smitty, we understand that it's going to be similar to what we saw at Monza, with some of the cars being a little bit thirsty today.
For sure, there's a lot of full throttle action going on at Spa, and the longer that right foot's down, the more fuel you're going to use. These guys are going to be making at least one pit stop. If all things goes well, it's going to be one pit stop. Hopefully they're not down more than one time. It's going to be an interesting one to watch.
Yeah, we mentioned it before. You definitely don't want to be on the pit lane any more than you have to. It's going to lose you a ton of time. Pace car is in the pits. Gerard is actually staying behind the pace car impressively as he leads the way, keeping a nice steady 60 miles an hour as they hit La Source. This is going to be interesting towards the back of the pack because once Girard accelerates away to the green, there could be a lot of cars still heading around that hairpin. He's heading down the hill now as we watch from the chopper above. And now he accelerates away. Ulmer does not get a start with a jump on him. Tinsley tries to block off De Vries and chops him off as they head up Eau Rouge. What do the GT start looking like?
Everybody's clean in the Corvettes through Eau Rouge, no problem. Single file built.
John Paquin leading the way for the GT3s, and we go back. It's J.D. Bumgardner comfortably out in front for the Cadillac, only 4 spots behind Paquin.
And we immediately have a lead change. That big start.
Paquin has spun. Sorry, boys. Paquin has spun.
Wonder what happened to Paquin. Let's see if we can figure it out. He's already taken a tow. Oh, and that was up over the hill of Eau Rouge. Across Rodillion. Oh, and he actually made contact with another driver.
Came up behind David Henry.
Castro.
No, it was the slowest Corvette. Second slowest Corvette out there was David Henry, and that's who Paquin really closed on.
Well, he closed in on him, but watch the BMW that hits him. That's Dexter Castro, who started in second
Absolutely.
place. And Dexter was just an innocent victim as Paquin goes flying on the replay. Had nowhere to go on that one. Well, as Kevin mentioned, we did have a lead change up at the front, and Ulmer currently leads Girard. Ulmer is in this championship battle, and he is going to need this win to try and get enough points to overhaul De Vries, so he's doing everything right at the moment.
Yeah, you know, that big jump that Jason Girard got off the start didn't matter because Ulmer was able to use that draft on the Kimmel Straight and just rock it right on by Girard. Girard had nothing for him. Now, big stack up as Tinsley and De Vries go side by side into the chicane, but they clean it up and they're out through cleanly.
Except for Matt Quinn, who takes a bit of a spin coming through the first part of the chicane, and he comes back at the very tail end of the field of HPDs. You know, he is going to have some work to do. Where did Quinn qualify, actually? Looks like he qualified 5th, so he went about halfway down the field in that mistake.
Yeah, and that was just him getting on the throttle just a little bit too aggressively in that very, very tight chicane.
We had a bit of a too-wide situation between Chance Kelly and Mark Honig. Looks like they've sorted that out by the time they get up the hill now. They climb towards Lecumbe. A couple drivers behind them, ducking out, seeing what they can do. Big pack there. Honig backs out of an attempt for a pass, but he has now got Robert Jackman closing in behind him.
Yeah, these guys are all over each other right now. Very easy to do. As I'm looking at Stockrider, takes a look in, and Santana going deep into turn 8. Not really a corner you want to go side by side, and they nearly do, but they get themselves sorted out before Rivage.
And as we weren't looking, it looks like Dino Topic coming out of Blanchimont just touched the AstroTurf, and that sent him into a spin. I think he made contact with the wall, just like contact at the rear. And he has got a lot of work to do now.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. He's got his rear wing is bent, kind of looks a little bit like a banana right now on the back of that Corvette. He's going to have to come into pit lane and get that damage fixed for sure.
Appropriate for a bright yellow car. Unfortunately, I thought he had a new paint, which I'm seeing on my screen, but it looks like we aren't able to have it for the broadcast. I know he posted it in the forums, a nice blue and white paint scheme that he had done up, but I guess we'll get it next season. So right now, our leader in the P1 class is Ulmer, and then in the GT2 class, it's Troy Schuster leading the way. However, we haven't tucked into the GT3s and GTDs recently. Bill, what's been going on down in those worlds?
I got a lot to tell you. First of all, let's take Paquin off the charts there and Dexter Castro. Those were your top 2 runners in the GT3. So we're going to look now at Robbie Morrison. Now, he's being followed by, and my apologies to our director, Amjad Yaman, but everyone knows my mother-in-law. She's 93 years old, and she loves Dr. Ramjet, she calls him, but her new favorite driver is Jim McGinnis. She tells me, leave Jim alone. Don't call him the Mushroom Man. Don't call him the carpool driver. Currently, your GT3 champion running in second place behind Morrison. But if we drop back one more position, and this is really interesting, here comes Bumgardner, JD, in that Cadillac, currently leading the GTD division, but able to run with the top guys one class up.
Certainly has some speed. Now, it's interesting that Morrison is currently leading in the GT3 because I believe he's in a battle for third with Leif Peterson, if I'm remembering correctly, in the championship.
Right.
Guys, I have a side-by-side through 8, and they make contact. That is a... sorry, I'm completely confused right now. That was Santana and Matt Quinn making contact, but they're both got sorted out.
Yeah, it looks... Oh, and Santana goes very wide off track, so
And
Quinn could have had an
McGinnis
opportunity.
passing for the lead in GT3. McGinnis is going to get around Morrison.
He does it cleanly up into Lake Coombe. Let's see if Morrison tries to fight back. Just behind them, Baumgartner holding steady. He has nothing in this fight. Ross Booth is a little ways behind, about 2 seconds back from him, so he is not under threat. But if he starts to get backed up by these guys swapping back and forth, he might have impetus to try and overtake them at some point, even though they're in different classes.
And as we're watching that, we're going to see Baumgartner make a move. And how about a shout out to the series organizers that they're going to go to 3 divisions next time. Baumgartner's going to get the inside. They're going to make that move. Going to just, I'm here. Look at that BMW hold on the outside, though.
That's an antsy place to try and make it work. Not really generally a passing zone, even in these GT3 cars. I'm surprised that he tried to force the issue in that corner.
I think with all the points being settled, I think a lot of guys are out there now just going to have fun. Got to give condolences to Dexter Castro joining the series. I'm not sure if he's entered back in yet. Got in about 2 corners before he ran into trouble.
He is, in fact, out on track.
So Robert Jackman in the back of the HPD field spun it in La Source and may have touched the inside wall, may not have. I'm trying to get a close look at his front splitter. He may have escaped. No, he does have a little damage on the front of his car, but his day just got a little bit worse. He has now lost the draft of the entire HPD field in front of him.
We mentioned that this is a difficult track, but a lot of drivers proving it so in early days. 60-minute race. We're only 7 minutes in. We've had a number of cars spin. A couple come together and just about end their day, even though Dexter's out there already. I'm not sure if Paquin is out on track. Have you seen Bill?
Paquin retired, guys.
Yeah, Paquin retired. It really has not been John Shear. He's really fast, but man, did he have bad luck this season.
He was on, we talk about the consistency of McInnes, but Paquin was on an incredible winning streak in the middle of the season. It was only things out of his control, really, that stopped it. So, yeah, you talk about bad luck. That is some serious bad luck for him. Meanwhile, we're looking at McInnes, our leader in the GT3s, who looks to still be ahead of Robbie Morrison, although the car directly behind is J.D. Baumgartner trying to put a little bit of a gap between himself and Ross Booth.
Battles all through the classes. Great battles up in prototypes and in the GT1s, and we're just about ready to look at Baumgartner here to make a move on McInnes. It's not for position, but it is a battle for between those guys running first in each class.
Well, you say battle in the prototypes, but it's been actually fairly static. Close, but static. John Ulmer still leading, Jason Gerard and Robert Tinsey still within reach of each other. Jason DeVries has dropped a little bit. He's about a second and a half behind Robert Tinsey in that 4th spot. And then there's a fair gap to 5th, W. Mark Koenig in that Audi painted HPD, which really messes with my head. And Chance Kelly right behind Matt Quinn. Matt Quinn's been moving forward very well past Kevin Santana in the chicane a little bit. Just got Chance Kelly. Now Chance Kelly's thinking about trying to look on the outside. Kimmel approaching Lacoon. That's very, very difficult to do. Very close under braking to each other, but no harm, no foul here.
Quinn really not wanting to give up that position after he worked hard for it. It's going to be a little bit harder going now that he's gotten past this pack of cars and they've got the draft on him. About 2.5 seconds up to Mark Ponik at the moment. He's definitely going to have to be fighting and clawing. That top group, though, that has been staying relatively close, although it looks like Tinsey's dropping back a little bit. So the top 3 are currently the ones that are in it for the potential win at the moment. That's Ulmer, Gerard, and Tinsey there on your screen.
Yeah, we say dropped, but a second is about the furthest you can get a draft.
Kyle Pitson just put it in the wall. Sorry, boys.
Let's see if we can look at the replay. That is in the GT3 class. coming through the bus stop and out, and just takes a bit of the AstroTurf. I have done that before. It is extremely frustrating.
So Dino Topic has closed up on Paul Slavonic in the GT2 field. I'm impressed that Topic has stayed out with that messed up rear wing. So I'm very curious to know if he's experiencing massive understeer with that rear wing stalling out, or if he's experiencing massive oversteer with it not getting any grip whatsoever in the rear. But either way, he's still out there, still turning laps. And is about only 8 seconds behind his class leader, Troy Schuster. So he's doing well, all right, although he almost collected Paul Slavonic.
Yeah, he was
surprised.
He was very wobbly under the brakes down in Nefany's, but as he comes out of curve of Paul Frere, he's going to have another opportunity. The draft probably isn't as huge in the Corvettes, but you look at him close, gets a great exit. Coming up on Slavonic, is he going to stick his nose in before Blanchimont? Gets no opportunity as Slavonic shuts the door, goes back to the racing line, and Topic has to lift. Takes it a little bit cleaner than his first lap through Blanchimont. Now he's going to close under braking down to the bus stop. Slavonic way off the apex of the first corner. Oh, and almost contact between the two cars, and Slavonic spins it.
And just avoids the wall, but now he's on the racing line right for the next car, Dave Hill, coming around. Billy Smith does a good job to avoid all that, but Slavonic somehow manages to keep the car from getting wrecked on that wall.
I'm curious to know if they actually touched. Dino actually apologized, so we're hearing that they did make contact. It was just the lightest of touches, it looked like from my screen. Still, not something that you like to see. We understand that we have an update on Pitson, Smitty.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's like Kyle's day is going to be done a little bit early there. Looks like he's disconnected from the run.
Quickly to HPDs, we got a prototype lead. Robert Tinsley has just shot through past Jason Girard into Blanchimont, almost side by side. So that battle, that what Joe was saying, it might have dropped off a little bit. Tinsley has caught up and made his move. Well done there.
We haven't seen Tinsley. I think he's been on the podium, but we haven't seen him up at the front with a win yet this season. He's going to want to try and spoil the party for John Ulmer, now working his way up into second past Girard. But we've seen from Girard before, he is a patient player, Kevin, and he tends to kind of just let the race happen and then turn it on at the end and really leave everybody in the dust.
And I should point out that pass was facilitated by catching up to the lapped car of Darren Kuhn, and really held up the leader, John Ulmer, for a moment. And Jason Girard got caught out, and Robert Tinsley was able to take advantage of that.
I wish I would have piped in, because I was going to say that Tinsley was biding his time till it becomes his strength, and that's when traffic. And sure enough, I'm telling you, he is the man in the mirror. When you see him, the drivers want him to change his ways, but man, he's something through traffic. Meanwhile, if you get a chance, we have an interesting thing back here for the GT3, and go somewhere else if there's a battle. Here you got McGuinness leading, and then Baumgartner I talked about in second place. Now, Morrison is sitting back in second position in the GT3, but has that caddy sandwich between them. Drop back a little bit farther, you get to another fast caddy there, Ross Booth, running in second overall in his class, 24th overall. Then if you go one more spot back, you get to a slow Corvette of Robert Slinka. These guys have kind of been battling it out. Mixed classes, different skill levels, but it's been pretty exciting.
Wow, McLaren of Joe Wren lap car held up John Ulmer again, and this allowed Jason DeVries to actually catch up back to this leading trio.
Actually, we've got a potential pass for the lead because McInnes got passed by Baumgartner. That slowed him up. Now he's got Morrison all over him. He took a look into the bus stop, but nothing doing there. Now they head towards La Source, and it looks like Morrison has dropped back and won't have an opportunity into the hairpin.
Yeah, Baumgartner had been being a brat for the last 2 or 3 laps on McGuinness and finally made the move. Now I expect Baumgartner to be able to pull away. Keep an eye on that other caddy back there now of Ross Booth. He's going to want to make a move. Doesn't want Baumgartner to get too far away. But boy, Baumgartner's going to be hard to hold on to.
And Jason DeVries took over third spot from Jason Girard in the prototype class, outbraked him into the chicane.
So 2 quick successions of position changes in 2 different classes. And as we look at the HPDs, it could change once again. De Vries trying to hunt down, or excuse me, Gerard trying to hunt down De Vries as they head towards Lecombe down the Kimmel Straight. It's De Vries on the outside, or excuse me, Gerard on the outside of De Vries, and is unable to get it done through the chicane, has to back out of it. Meanwhile, ahead of them, it looks like Tinsey was held up momentarily by Leif Peterson, but he is going to be overtaken by De Vries and by Gerard as he gets out of the way through Ravage. Oh, and whoa! Very close for De Vries.
I was just thinking to myself, this is the part of the track where the HPDs absolutely don't want to catch lap traffic because there's such a ginormous speed difference between them here, as we see in Puhan. Oh boy, the BMW of Mark Jubinski just unfortunately in the wrong place at the wrong time for the HPDs. And fortunately, everybody okay. Now there's a spinning Corvette in front of them. I'm not sure who that was. That is Brett Trochin. Boy, everything's going off. This is absolutely not where people want to be having mixed class action, but that's where they're getting it.
Chaos erupts at the front of the HPDs, and that is Tinsey in second, De Vries in third, and Gerard in fourth that they are battling for. This is allowing John Ulmer to stretch a gap. It's going to change once again as De Vries on the inside of Tinsey as they head towards Blanchimont. I think he's going to have it. They go side by side. There might have been a little bit of contact as Tinsey goes way wide, brings it back onto the track, holds on to the position over Gerard. Now they break for the bus stop. He goes back for the inside. De Vries tries to hold on to it. They've got a Corvette just in front of him. That is Robert Sklenka. Tinsey still trying around the outside as it switches back now for the hairpin of La Source. They're going to go three wide with Sklenka on the outside. Tinsey going very far inside, almost gets hit by De Vries, but he holds onto it.
And Jason Gerard's just been sitting there in the catbird seat, waiting for something to happen, trying to make a move. But now Gerard's going to be able to set up for a good run. But they have 2-3 lap cars in front of them that they're going to catch up to new roads. HPD's going everywhere, Joe.
That was Ross Booth that they worked their way around, and Tinsey is going to have a slowdown penalty for sure as he went just straight across Rodin. There he goes, slowing down, and that is going to hand it easily to Gerard.
And those lap cars are getting around are McGuinness and Morrison, the leaders in their class.
Yeah, we should reconfirm that the lap cars aren't doing anything wrong. They're entitled to their race and their racing line. It's just, unfortunately, they're being caught in the wrong place for everybody. It's just very, very difficult to handle right here, but fortunately, nobody's gotten wrecked.
I think we're seeing some very typical racing from Gerard. As you said, he was just holding back, and he isn't making very many aggressive moves on these GT3 cars as he works his way through. Unfortunately, this is letting De Vries get away just a little bit, but it certainly served him well as they work their way past Baumgartner. And now Tinsey, who is the aggressive one, tries to work his way past Infanies, and Gerard shuts the door.
And it sounds like our pit reporter got a little insight to the cockpit of Ross Booth out there, who was in the middle of that action.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, these they got their own race going on with these HPDs battling hard with each other, trying to get through. There's no punches being pulled right now.
And Tinsey's on the inside on the run up to Blanchimont. Easily done. Wow.
That man is in a hurry, so don't get in his way. Tinsey back into third. Let's see if Gerard can get him back. In fact, they haven't lost a whole lot of time. They're only 2 seconds behind De Vries, who is now 7 seconds behind Ulmer, just absolutely streaking away. Ulmer doing what he needs to do, but with De Vries still in second, he's going to have to hope for some bad luck for his competitor.
Hey guys, I want to talk about De Vries right now. You know, we talked that he was way out in front, but there's 10 cars in that class right now. If he were to have a disaster race, the championship could go to Ulmer.
Indeed, I believe, let's see, I don't have the point system up. I'll have to pull it up and see what 10th place gets. Now, Billy Smith, what is going on with him? Did he have an off here? Oh, not quite an off, but turn that Corvette around in Ravage. We're going to look at it.
I count that as a spin, that's for sure. In Rochelle there in the midst
of
it, just carrying his brakes a little too much, got loose, and around she went. Didn't lose too much time, fortunately, but those tires probably a little hot. Needs to be careful for a couple corners, make sure everything gets sorted out. Meanwhile, Gerard was all over the back of Tinsey through Lecombe, and now Tinsey and Gerard have caught up with traffic again and again in Puhan.
Tinsey works his way past. Christopher Sherburne is the Corvette who goes wide to allow some space for Gerard, who gets past as well. And we hear that there's a spin with Sheldon Voloshin as well. Certainly been an eventful race. Going back to seeing where that was. It was in the same corner, although it looks like he made a little bit of a tap on the inside wall. So Sheldon Voloshin lost some time, maybe crinkled up a little bit of bodywork, but otherwise not too much harm done to that Corvette. Currently sitting in 10th for Gone Broke Racing.
We were talking about the Corvette driver of Billy Smith. I know he's not my class, but he'll always be a caddy driver to me. Unfortunately, Billy Smith doesn't seem to be the same. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, Bill. I was just watching Kevin Binkley go through Eroge and got loose on the exit. I thought for sure he was going around, but stuck that left foot on the brake, kept the throttle down, and got it sorted out. Didn't lose too much, just a couple of tenths maybe to Paul Darling, who he's chasing, but a near disastrous wreck avoided for sure.
Just to finish up the Billy Smith he doesn't seem to be the same force of nature he is in the Corvettes as he was in the Cadillacs.
In the meantime, we've got a battle going on between Jubinski and Bird in the GT3 class. Jubinski used to be an HPD driver, was also swapped over. Now as they head towards La Source, there you can see Bird in the yellow and red machine trying to hunt down Jubinski. Down into the hairpin, no pass attempt. Goes a little bit wide on entry, tries to square up that exit, and it's not effective for Bird as he starts to lose ground.
That's a battle for third position in class. I imagine a lot of Jubinski probably prepping for Season 3. I think he's going to get bumped out of the prototypes for next season.
Wouldn't be surprised there have been some vocal drivers saying they don't want to drive the HPDs. And there's a battle for the lead in the GT3s. Jim McInnes against Morrison once again into Lake Coombe. And it's McInnes who comes out on top. The blue and white BMW stays ahead of his competitor. Morrison in a hurry. He is having a great day out there. Usually we see him fighting for lesser positions, but today he wants the win. In fact, this should be, I believe, his first win of the season if he can get it.
Yeah, and he certainly has the legs to stay with it there as we're watching Robert Jackman in the prototype now split those two guys up. There you go. McInnes gives him room, and the prototype gets through.
That held up McInnes just slightly, I think. This is going to allow Morrison a better exit out of Pouan. Closes down into the braking of Fagnes. And that gap currently is down to 0.7 of a second. Just behind them lurking is Ross Booth. Oh, and there was a car off track. That was Sheldon Voloshin once again.
Yeah, spinning it right there, just a little too much curve. You saw the result, just sitting off the side of the track. No damage, though.
Not having the best of days. He haven't even hit the halfway point. Still with 37 minutes left to go. And that car behind him is Brandon Postma in the Cadillac that's going to try and put him down a position.
Joe, this John Ulmer, remember, he had almost a 7-second lead on Jason DeVries a couple laps ago. Well, that gap now is sitting on 5 seconds. Jason DeVries is out here just flying.
You're right. His lap times are looking significantly quicker. Now, we don't know if that is due to traffic. Have you been watching and seeing whether Ulmer's being held up or is just DeVries got the raw pace?
Every time I check in on John Ulmer, he's not around traffic, so I'm not really quite sure what.
GT3s, pass for the lead, it looks like. There goes Morrison, is going to get around McInnes. McInnes had not a real great exit.
So he makes it happen before they get through Eau Rouge. And even though he's going to get the draft, I'm not sure if McInnes is going to be close enough to try and pull it right back on him down as they get to Lacombe. Yeah, he's closing in, but just not going to have the pace as they hit the braking zone. There, that gap now is going to be down to half a second. So there's nothing at stake for McInnes. That perhaps is probably worse for Morrison, since McInnes, all he wants at this point is the win. He doesn't have to worry about any sort of championship as we ride on board with Morrison looking back over the rear spoiler.
Well, just to talk strategy, the pit window is almost, there is no window. It's basically right halfway. Maybe McInnes is saying to get a little fuel saving back there. I don't know. McGuinness has been really, really fast at pit stops these last 3 or 4 races.
He's certainly got that strategy nailed down. And Morrison really starts to stretch away as they go through Pouan, but now they close back up once again. He was looking very strong around that long downhill left-hander. That may be the area that his car is feeling best. We'll see how they get once they come off of Curva Paul Frere, though. Another area where the draft can come into play. Can McInnes get a good launch? And it doesn't look like it's enough, Bill.
Now, maybe we can drop back to Paul Lindsay, currently running 3rd in the Cadillacs. Just quietly running, give him a little bit of screed time. He's running behind Baumgartner and Ross Booth. Nice race from Lindsay in the kind of car and driver car there. Let's say that's blue, right? Is that blue?
Yes,
I'm looking at?
that is blue.
Okay.
Oh, wow. John Ulmer getting held up pretty heavily by the Corvette of Paul Garland. Lost about a second through Ravage.
That means the gap is now under 4 seconds between De Vries and Ulmer. This is the very person that Ulmer wants to try and get away from and put as many cars between himself. But it looks like De Vries actually got held up a little bit on the exit of Pouan by Kevin Binkley. So that gap has gone back up another half second to the good for Ulmer.
And again, I want to reiterate that these slower cars aren't doing anything wrong. It's not their fault that their car doesn't have 8,000 pounds of downforce like the HPDs do.
Yes, this is a good point. When we talk about them being held up, it's Kevin's right. These are the GT3 cars staying predictable, and they're running their own race, so they can't help what position on the track they are in other than left to right. As we look at a replay of Ryan Bird coming through La Source. What happened here? Oh, and he spins it. And takes a hard hit onto the inside wall, too. His battle with Jabinski unfortunately got split up by that contact. Now, the good news for these cars is that they do have one fast repair. And with it being close to the pit stops, that means that Bird's going to be able to hop in and get a nice, fresh BMW.
Yeah, I was thinking that right now. I was going to talk to Smitty about that. He's in the pits right now, isn't he? But he's almost in his pit window.
No, for sure. I mean, it's going to be borderline right now. I mean, if you can get the repair done, get everything dialed in pretty good, going to be okay. Downside is that tow. Probably going to put him out of any kind of decent finish.
Yeah.
Well, I'm looking back up at the front. Ulmer still has held the gap to De Vries at about 4.5 seconds. He dives to the inside of Darren Kuhn. So he's going to not be held up by that driver and be able to try and streak away. We'll have to see what De Vries does as he closes in on the Cadillac. He has just put another lap on Troy Schuster and disposed of him.
Yeah, now, Joe, I don't know what was going on with Ulmer there for a couple of laps. If he was just out there making martinis or on a fuel saving strategy or what. But, you know, he lost several seconds to Vries and within the space of a lap and not really got it all back. And it wasn't really affected by traffic. So these guys are up to some sort of shenanigans behind the wheel, and I've yet to figure it out.
Well, we've seen Ulmer in the past during the season make mistakes when either trying to push too hard, dealing with traffic, just various things biting him as his decision-making has put him in bad positions. So I wonder if Ulmer's maybe backing it off at a few moments when he saw that gap come down. Maybe he decided, okay, time to be a little bit more aggressive.
I don't know. I prefer to think he's out there making martinis.
Smitty, I can't find Booth and Lindsay. Have they come into the pits?
Indeed, we do have our first pit stops happening right now. We've got Booth is in, Lindsay is in, Wren is in. So the pit window is full on open, and it's time to get busy.
And Jason DeVries just went in, just watched him in the pit lane. John Ulmer has stayed out.
So DeVries makes the long trek down, and with him being on, let's see, I believe he started in 4th position. He's going to have to go all the way around the corner here. Now, this will be interesting to watch. We mentioned these wide HPD cars. The car ahead of him, that would be Joe Wren, made it around safely. And it looks like DeVries' practice as he makes it around safely without contacting the wall either. And now he has to do the other half of the pit lane. This is what we're talking about, how long this endurance pit lane is. And you can just see now he's just getting to the next set of stalls.
And meanwhile, McGinnis has gotten around Morrison. I think Morrison almost surrendered the position. They're both still out on the track, but it's McGinnis and Morrison running 1-2.
And I got Dino Topic looking on the inside of Kevin Binkley into Lecombe, and done. Dino Topic finally able to make that position up on Kevin Binkley.
And that is going to put him into third, I believe. Yes, third.
Yeah, now we haven't talked a lot about the Corvette field, and that's just because they haven't really been doing too much exciting out there. They've all been kind of gapped a little bit, but now you see the first bit of action. I see, looks like David Henry. Oh, he's in a pit lane. That's why he's so close. But yeah, it just hasn't really been a whole lot going on in the Corvette field. Troy Schuster still leading. Paul Darling still about 5 seconds back. Dino Topic about another 5 seconds back. And Kevin Binkley, as you can guess, is right behind Dino Topic after that recent pass.
And our leader in the GT3s has come in, Robbie Morrison, but McGinnis has stayed out.
Pit stops kicking off and allowing the cars to get mixed up. We'll see how strategy starts to sort them out. It could take effect. Who can get that good entry, good exit, and get just the right amount of fuel? Right now, Ulmer still leading the way. And actually, Ulmer is in.
Oh, this pit lane is excruciatingly long and slow.
Ooh, late move by Mark Koenig to jump into pit lane. He was practically all the way through the chicane and then decided, nah, I think I'm going to go into pit lane, and in he goes. Barely managed to get in.
David Henry finishing his stop and now exiting the pit lane. So let's see how Ulmer compares to Tinsey. Or excuse me, to De Vries, I should say. Tinsey as well is into pit lane. Jason Girard is in pit lane. In fact, pretty much the entire HPD field that didn't pit on the last lap is into pit lane. And De Vries is coming around now.
Morrison and Jabinski are out. They're going to slot in 2-3 in the GT3 class. We're still waiting for McGinnis to come in and Baumgartner to come in.
Ulmer's out.
Worth noting that Tinsey actually didn't miss his pit stall. He didn't pull far enough up into his pit stall, so he might have lost a ton of time.
And Jason De Vries, a big winner on this pit cycle. He is now only about a second and a half behind John Ulmer, so he picked up at least 3.5 seconds on the swap.
And he might get a little bit of more time because now they got Brandon Postma that Ulmer sneaks his way through.
But Bruchel, you want to get it this pass done before you have to go side by side through Bruchel, and helped out a little bit by that Cadillac declining the outside line there.
Baumgartner. I'm sorry, go ahead, Joe.
I was just going to say, so De Vries lives for another day and is still able to chase him down, only a second between him. What have you noticed about Baumgartner?
Baumgartner has pitted from the lead of the Cadillacs. McGinnis is still out there, so as far as I can tell, he's one of the last cars to not pit in any class.
This is not a place that you want to run out of fuel because you're not going to be coasting in.
Oh, my goodness, coming through pit exit. Robert Jackman just split some guys. Oh, gee, it was exciting.
Ulmer getting loose into Frere. Now he's got the BMW. This shouldn't be an issue of Mark Jubinski in front of him, and the Cadillac of Paul Lindsay also probably shouldn't be an issue.
De Vries is gaining, though.
Or De Vries. Now I take that back. That Cadillac's going to be in the wrong spot for one of these HPDs.
Oh! De Vries declines the opportunity. He backs out of it. Still, he is right on the rear spoiler of John Ulmer. He takes a look down into the bus stop. Everybody comes to a halt. And now they accelerate away across the GP start-finish line. Still not an opportunity for De Vries. Not close enough for a pass down into La Source. Is he going to set him up for the long run up the hill? Takes a little bit of a peek before they get to the braking zone. Psychological games trying to get into the mirrors of John Ulmer.
And a bad run out of La Source for De Vries. Ulmer got on the power nice and early, but De Vries has still got plenty of time to get that draft out at Eau Rouge and catch up. although they do have a Corvette of Robert Sklenka in front of them. Shouldn't be a problem. They should be able to. Yeah, Sklenka's getting on the brakes to help them by through the into chemistry. Sporting you there. Well done. Thank you.
With no one for Sklenka to fight against, he had no reason not to try and help them. Good awareness on his situation. De Vries still about 7/10 behind Ulmer, still stalking him, waiting for a mistake, waiting for traffic to give him an opportunity. He's still got 25 minutes left on the clock, so there's going to be opportunities. So let's jump back to Dino Topic, still in third. Big wiggle he had coming out of La Source, but who is he trying to chase down? Paul Darling is the next up the road, but he's got Kevin Binkley about 2 seconds behind him.
Yeah, nothing has changed too much in this order.
Whoa! Topic almost running into the wall, though, as he was practically run off the road by Joseph Wren, who didn't know which side to go, and actually Wren spun and crashed. So let's look at Topic and then switch to Wren. Here coming up over Radillion. He thinks he can get to the outside. Wren doesn't give him room, almost runs into the barrier. Wren actually goes off course in that, and then spins into the wall. There you can see him.
Wow, I feel bad for Joe Wren because that is the driving line, staying right there on the exit of U Road. So Wren didn't do anything wrong. Just Topic got such a great run on Wren that I think Wren kind of got startled. Unfortunate for Joe there. I feel really bad for him.
Okay, guys, McGuinness is in the pits right now. Morrison has just made it through the pit stop and around pit entrance. McGuinness is now just coming, as he reached his pit, he's just coming out of his pit. This is going to be interesting between Morrison and McGuinness.
Let's see, where is Morrison? I'm not seeing him quite yet.
McGuinness just coming out of pit lane.
There's Morrison heading through Eau Rouge. McGuinness now up at the top of the hill. He's not going to have the same momentum that Robbie Morrison is. He's closing in. What is that gap between them? Looks like about 3 seconds.
Yeah, he didn't get there. It was a little bit, McGuinness picked up a little bit on that one. It's so far, the pit lane is so long, it's so hard to judge how these guys are going to file out. Meanwhile, Ross Booth has made a great pickup in time between him and Bumgardner. He can actually see Bumgardner on those long straights.
And critically, he actually came out ahead of McInnes. Oh, and McInnes actually, I think, just had a touch from Gerard. I wondered if we could get a replay and confirm whether or not they made contact. Here we see McInnes heading around the right-hander. Closing rate between these GT3 and HPDs. It's hard to tell from that angle whether they did or not. I wonder if we can get an onboard from Gerard.
I think if either car was damaged, I put my money that the prototype got a little more damage on the wing than that BMW did in the back. Those BMWs are pretty strong, especially underneath the wing.
Oh, it looks like they shouldn't have made contact, but they have what we call net code or ghost contact. There was just a little bit of a bend in the bodywork of Jason Gerard as we watched the replay. And these things can be sensitive, Kevin.
They absolutely can, which is why I was a little shocked while you guys were watching that replay. I was watching David Sockrider go 3 wide with Chance Kelly and Troy Schuster to make the pass on the Kimmel straight, and just barely squeaked it in. Sockrider was in the middle, and I don't think there was enough room for tape on either side of his car. But yeah, just a little bit of damage on these HPDs, and your arrows.
Brett Trocine looks like his race is done. He's smoking at the top of Radillion, but I saw that because there's a battle for P1 that just went by him as Jason DeVries looked on the inside down into Lacombe, but wasn't quite close enough to overtake Ulmer.
Wow, and that was all caught up right there in La Source. Ulmer held up by Matt Owens, a slow McLaren through La Source, because that was a 2-second gap just a quarter lap ago.
Now they plunge back down the hill since they've hit the highest part of the track, and Ulmer's going to catch David Henry in a terrible spot. Here comes De Vries. De Vries catches up to him, isn't able to make the pass there, but now he's looking to the outside, down into Fanyu's. They're side by side into the braking zone, almost making contact. De Vries tries to hold on. Ulmer shuts the door, not quite. He gives him just a little bit of a room. He goes off track, comes back on, and has to give him room once again as De Vries tries to outbrake him into Curve of Paul Frere. Now they accelerate away, and I don't think De Vries has enough as a little bit of a gap stretches between the two HPDs.
Well, that was definitely some hard racing there. I think De Vries was deciding that this is his chance and wanted to try and make it happen, but Ulmer was saying, no, this is my lead, thank you very much.
He is working hard for that win. It's been a long time, and De Vries outbreaks himself into the bus stop, goes wide, recollects himself without hitting anything, but loses a chunk of time, now 2 seconds, between himself and Ulmer.
And I'm going to make a slight correction on that. He didn't outbrake himself. He outbraked John Ulmer, but ran out at track room. That was the dodge to the left there, was trying to avoid Ulmer, make sure he didn't run into the back of him.
Boy, whatever the case was, it was certainly costly. He's going to have to really regain some ground now.
I'd like to comment that...
Mark Ponik has spun in the chicane, lost a position to Matt Quinn. A solo spin, just carried... he locked up the rears under braking is what he did and turned it around.
All that technology in these HPDs, and it doesn't keep you from having to drive the car and find every last ounce of seconds out of it. Ponik found the limit and went just a little bit over, it looks like, as we watched on the replay. So that moves him down into 6th, unfortunately, and just behind our GT3 leader of Jim McGuinness.
I give a quick shout out to the families and friends of Matt Owens and Leif Peterson. Those McLarens must get great gas mileage because they stayed out a long, long time. Just coming in right now. They had inherited the lead in second place, but they're in now, so McGuinness and Morrison take over back to first and second.
Light right foot allowed them to go quite a ways, that's for sure.
And Matt Owens just taking his first pit stop right now with only 18 minutes to go. Gonna miss the McLarens. They're not coming back next season. They're so pretty. My wife doesn't like them because she thinks they're smiling at her when she sees them from the front. She thinks they're evil, but they sure are pretty.
I have to admit I'm partial to them as well. We won't ask Kevin what he thinks of them because I think we already know.
I have nothing but fond words for my petrol data Turn 2 Motorsports McLaren.
Oh, De Vries! What happened to De Vries? He's got all kinds of damage on the front of his car. We're going to look at the replay now. Huge contact into the wall. Where was that on track? That looks like out of Pouan.
It was Joe Wren.
Oh, I wonder if that's payback, guys.
I know. I wouldn't. It looked like he just wasn't sure which way to go.
Which way was going to go? I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
But Wren certainly moved over to the right. I mean,
it was just horrible, horrible timing.
You just want to keep it going straight. Whatever. The worst thing you can do is move. Just keep a straight line.
Having driven the GT3 cars in endurance races with these HPDs, it's actually it's nerve-wracking. You have to really fight that urge to just stay where you are because you see them heading towards one way, and you think, "Oh my God, I got to get out of the way because this thing moving very fast is going to hit me." But you have to remember that these are nimble little cars. As we look at John Ulmer and his almost spotless HPD, and if you stay in one place, they can most likely dodge around you pretty quickly.
Well, Kevin, that puts De Vries down to 8th place. Now, I can't do the math, but he was only 14 points ahead of Ulmer. Now he's sitting in 9th. That seems like
Bill.
Yeah, that seems like a lot of points. He may have lost the championship.
Ulmer still has to hold on to that lead and get to the end of this race. He's got 16 minutes to go.
You get 25 for winning, and then it goes down it's got to go down at least 14 points back to 10th.
1 for pole, but Gerard claimed that. So it will be 25 max for our leader, John Ulmer. Man, still waiting on that toe.
Buster and Poindexter on that, or Sherman and Poindexter,
where are
whatever
they?
his name is.
Yeah, Sherman and Poindexter. I think I think Deep Freeze is in trouble.
Buster must be the intern.
Well, whatever it is, hopefully they'll get us some correct math at some point in the near future. We'll be able to get the results here on air.
De Vries is finally taking off now. Now let's see, where is he compared to the other cars? Santana is a long ways up. We've got an accident in front of Santana. That is a Cadillac. Who is that? It's Paul Lindsay. It's a good thing that he managed to get that car off course and everybody was heads up, because you'll see just a gaggle of cars from every class behind him. Rear of that car and driver Cadillac just comes around and thankfully scoots its way into the grass. Car looks a little bit damaged on the front, but otherwise driving mostly straight. So we understand a Corvette battle is happening. Let's see if we can get word on who these drivers are.
Well, it's a battle in only the loosest sense. Paul Darling still about 2 seconds behind Troy Schuster in that Corvette lead. Not a lot of action has changed there. Dino Topic having a pretty good run the last few laps ever since he got his banana wing replaced with a proper race wing. He's gained a few seconds on Paul Darling, but he's still about 10 seconds behind in 14 minutes. That's about 7 laps. Going to be tough to do.
Okay, I've done a little research. First place is 25 points. 10th place is 2 points. So yeah, there's plenty of room. Let's assume Ulmer wins 25. It's a 14-point difference. De Vries would have to get up to, I'm saying, 6th position to get this championship.
Oof.
Well, YouTube has just chimed in, thank you, Danny Kane, and has told us that Jason de Vries needs 5th or better. If
5th or
Ulmer
better.
wins.
Ooh, so the plot thickens, and he is quite a ways back. I'm seeing currently about 110 seconds behind a leader, but let's jump over to the battle for P7 in this very class. That's Chance Kelly
And Robert Jackman. This battle between Sock Rider, Jackman, and Kelly has actually been changing every couple laps. Believe it or not, Sock Rider, who is currently 6 seconds in front of these two, was mixing it up with these guys. But between traffic and cut course penalties, these guys are swapping positions like crazy. Jackman, the latest to take advantage of this now.
So if I'm doing my math right, it's about 60 to 70 seconds, so a minute and some, that De Vries has to chase down, as it looks like a bit of traffic action going on between Sherburne getting passed by Jackman and Kelly.
Yeah, all of a sudden the attention falls on a driver I don't think I've ever said his name before. W. Mark Honig, currently running in 5th position in the prototypes. He's what De Vries is looking at, but with only 12 minutes to go, it's about a minute and 10 seconds, like you said, Joe. That seems impossible.
Well, Smitty did see him come into the pits and has some interesting observations. And what do you think of his chances, Smitty? Do you think he can run him down?
Well, I don't know if he can run him down. I mean, honestly, he's going to need a lot of help. The reality is that he is a long way back. But there's a lot of traffic. There's still, as I say, 12 minutes left to go. It ain't over till it's over.
And Joe, why this becomes so important is because De Vries already has 2 missed races. So he has no, what I call, points in his pocket. I mean, he can't drop a race. This counts, whatever this is now. It can't be replaced by a better finish earlier in the race, so earlier in the season. Oh, sorry, Deep Freeze.
And sorry, not my class, but I just caught it. Ross Booth was helped around by Sheldon Voloshin approaching Blanchimont, and Booth into the wall hard.
Another one bites the dust. Let's look at the replay there as they come around. Oh, see if we can catch it. Here we go.
Oh,
Lotion coming up behind him. Oh, hard contact before they even got to Blanchimont.
Yeah. Boy, it looked like net lag to me. He got punted out of there for really no reason.
We're going to watch it from above. Let's see if we can get a better angle this way. Yeah, that looks like netcode. These guys have really not been having great internet connections between each other. Unfortunately, not what you want at a fast track like this. Meanwhile, I want to jump up to the GT2 cars because Darling is now a second behind Troy Schuster. The battle for P1 in that class is on.
Who is
Yeah.
this Paul Darling?
Well, he's his mother's son. No doubt.
Media darling,
Running
apparently
down
right now,
Troy-
he's giving us some action.
And what we haven't talked about since before the race is the wild card that may help out Jason DeVries if people start getting disqualified from that incident cap.
Well, that's assuming DeVries doesn't run into that incident cap as well.
Yeah, wouldn't that be a kicker? Wow. But Paul Darling looking pretty good. He's kept that car nice and clean, having a solid run. Troy Schuster has also done pretty much the same. So one of these guys maybe used up their tires a little too much. Don't know. Easy to do in the Corvette, though.
We've only got 10 minutes left on the clock. Darling's got him in his sights. The question is, can he get it done? So as they come around Blanchimont, very fast corner, Darling just a little bit wide. Still holding on about roughly a second. Hasn't been gaining, hasn't been losing. So these guys look pretty evenly matched here at the end of the race. Now they're going to have DeVries coming up behind him, and he is definitely not going to want to sit around for these guys.
No, but DeVries is 10 seconds behind Kevin Santana, who's running about a second a lap slower than DeVries. So DeVries, it's going to be tough for him to even get to ninth, let alone fifth right now. And speaking of fifth, nope, iRacing's lying to me. I was just going to say Mark Ponick had gained a spot from Matt Quinn. Matt Quinn had fallen fifth, but no, getting some timing and scoring issues here.
Such a large track, cars can unfortunately disappear off of our timing and scoring. All this action, though, means that Ulmer has about a 7-second lead over Gerard. Now, I don't know what that was before, but even if he takes it easy, he could still be pretty safe. He just disposed of Mark Jabinski. There you can see Gerard at the very end of the Kimmel Straight as Ulmer finishes it.
Did a little research on Paul Darling. There are lots of Pauls. There's Paul Lindsay, there's Paul Slavonic, but I believe this is Paul Darling's first race. So nice going. Maybe he's coming in getting his feet wet for season 3.
And he's closed up. It's now down to half a second. It looks like Schuster's held up slightly by Robbie Morrison. Morrison trying to hold position, not able to really communicate which way he's going to go. A waggle back and forth. Schuster drifting wide as he carried just a little bit too much speed. But in all of this, through Fanyes, the saving grace is that Darling also got held up.
Oh, just excruciating. You want to get on the power so early coming out of that corner, and you can't because there's a slower class car in front of you. Oh, that's just brutal. Loses all that time.
It was at half a second. Now it's up to 1.3.
And viewers would say, well, why wouldn't Morrison get out of the way? Well, Morrison is still trying to run down McGuinness, who's ahead of him. Morrison is running second, so he can't afford to get those guys out of the way. He's got to run his line.
And not only that, if the slower class car suddenly moves out of his line, hey,
right.
It might Jason DeVries and Joe Rin, we saw that just a moment ago. If one car's not on his line, bad things can happen.
Well, McGuinness gets overtaken or tries to be overtaken by our leader, Schuster, and he gets
Darling,
passed through the source.
Deep.
Yeah.
Darling just absolutely ruined his exit through the source there.
Still, he's about a second behind, so he's gained time since we last looked. It was 1.3. Hearing that Trocine, unfortunately, has disconnected.
That's a horrible corner to get a bad exit out of because it costs you for so long.
Yeah, it sets up the run down to Rouge, sets you up through Rouge, then sets you up all the way up the hill on Kimmel, that enormously long straight. I think it's almost a kilometer long. Something insane, and you just absolutely have to get a good run out of the source. So spinning a wheel or outbraking yourself into there, it just doesn't do well for you.
Well, now it's going to get...
I hate to tell you, but YouTube has corrected themselves. Danny Kane, you need to get better on your arithmetic. Sounds like Sheldon and Poindexter were correct. Sherman and Poindexter, what you doing, dude?
It's Sherman and Poindexter. They emailed me. Don't question them. So 6th position then. Well, that's different than 5th position. That puts it back to David Sockrider currently running in 6th.
Actually, that's... Well, Mark Ponick is really starting to tick me off on the timing and scoring. He keeps jumping around. You're right. David Sockrider is 6th. So yeah.
I want to jump back to our GT2 lead because Sheldon Woloshin has put a kink in the works. He was in the same class as our leader, and he held up Troy Schuster a little bit. So now it looks like Darling has closed once again. Here comes John Ulmer, but he is not going to be an issue as he goes by on the straightaway. At least we hope not. Is he going to get through Blanchimont? There he goes. We ride on board with Schuster. Through Blanchimont, just a little wide through that fast left-hander. Now they break for the bus stop. The gap is down to less than half a second. Look at Darling close.
Darling was very good through Blanchimont. Troy Schuster was okay, and then Schuster really pinched his entry into the chicane. Did not do himself any favors, but not really anything Paul Darling can do right now. Just needs to get a good run through La Source this time. Gets a much better entry than Troy Schuster, who again pinching his entry, really scrubbing extra speed going in, but gets a good launch out. I'm a little surprised that Schuster got such a good launch there considering his entry.
Yeah, he's making that car rotate. It was up to 7/10 on
Whoa.
the exit.
Darling very heavy on the curves on the inside of Eau Rouge. Got lucky that he didn't lose that car. It was squirming all around underneath him.
Didn't lose the car, but lost a little bit of time. The draft is pulling him back in, his saving grace, and it holds steady at just about 7 or 8 tenths of a second between our two leaders in GT2, giving us some great action here with only 4 minutes left to go and the final round of the Autobahn Motorcar Group Sports Car Challenge.
Looking
Meanwhile,
for a
we're
battle
hearing-
that's really the best battle on the track right there. Go ahead, Joe.
Yeah, and actually, we just saw, I was going to say that Gerard was gaining on Ulmer, but he lost time behind Darling there. Now he's going to get by the time they get to Pouan here. So it was down to about just over 6 seconds, and it has grown to 6.5, almost 7. It looks like it's going to be too little, too late for De Vries. It's now only 3.5 seconds between himself and Santana, but 9th place will not cut it.
Little shout out to Dexter Castro, who had that early first lap incident. He's still racing 3 laps down, currently running 33rd overall.
Dexter gets our Dory Award of the race, I believe. Whoa,
Now, is that because he's good at
Gerard.
eating? What is the Dory Award?
The Dory Award is for the driver that just keeps swimming, Kevin.
Oh, you're referring to the bad Pixar movie.
Oh,
Now, remember when we had issues
mute
with,
his mic.
Toy Story Master Race right here. That's what it's all about.
I wonder if we can get a replay on Joe Wren here. I heard some very
big
harsh
spin, yeah.
words from Gerard. And he had a spin, but he had a big moment. Remember, he was the one that caused an
Right.
issue with... he was the one that caused an issue with De Vries and made contact with him.
Oh, I just looked at it. Oh,
Let's
my
see.
goodness.
We might have to go back a little bit farther, actually. Yes, we're going to have to go a little bit farther than that. But this was coming out of Curva Paul Frere. Gerard trying to find a way. Here we go. Oh, we've gone way far back, actually. We were almost there. Anyways, coming out of Curva Paul Frere, once again, it was a case of him trying to find a way to go, and at the last second, it was almost a carbon copy. He just started to weave across the track when he thought that he had picked the wrong side to drift to.
Actually, he leaved right and said, "Oh no!" and then Gerard went right. Then he came back left, and Gerard went, "Oh, he's Joe. You got to learn, buddy." I mean, I'm a long way away. I'm watching and he's. Sorry, Joe.
And
it's worth looking at.
We are going to look at the replay. Here we go. We're looking at Gerard. Let's actually hop on board and see what it looks like from his view, just to see how scary the closing rate is for these HBDs. You think it's scary inside the GT3 cars? Here we go, on the roll hoop. Thinks he has a gap to the right, and nope. Very last second has to weave way off the track. Amazing he kept that car together.
And from a chopper view, you can see that the car is just communication.
All right, boys, it is crunch time. John Ulmer is crossing the finish line just about now for the white flag lap. This is it. Get your stuff done, boys. You got one full lap remaining.
There we see him put in another lap on Dexter Castro. And just ahead of him is the car of Matt Owens. Ulmer calls out for the white flag. This is it, last lap. And De Vries, unfortunately, unless a bunch of cars ahead of him suddenly wreck out, is not looking very hopeful to claim this championship.
I'm going to urge Jason Deep Freeze De Vries to actually go into deep freeze before he gets on the forums. Take a breath, go out to dinner. Jason is never short for words.
Is this Joe Wren's first race in the series? It's I think he's been around before. He's certainly not making friends for season 3, that's for sure. At least not in the HPDs.
Yeah, I've been watching this Troy Schuster Paul Darling battle, and it is stabilized at a 2.5. Troy Schuster has responded. Paul Darling just not gonna be able to make something happen unless Troy Schuster has a meteor fall on him here.
And Dino Topic, third place, nice finish for him, ahead of Kevin Binkley. So Topic really having a great end of the season.
There was only one championship on the line, and that championship looks like it's going to swap positions in the final round. Ulmer has been chasing. He has been fighting. He has been looking for a win. He's only got a few more corners to finally stand atop the podium for the first time since, let's see, what was his last win here?
I'm looking
Virginia
right now.
International Raceway, round 4.
Yeah, started off with a fourth, first, and then hasn't had much luck since then.
And if anything starts to erupt in GT2, Kevin, definitely butt in. But it looks like with one more corner to go, John Ulmer breaks for the final corner. Around the right-hander, around the left-hander, through the chicane, and across the start-finish line. Checkered flag for John Ulmer. He wins again and takes the championship in style. Meanwhile, our GT2 leaders, are they our next ones?
Going to be GT2, then Baumgartner, then McGuinness.
So and unless Troy Schuster totally screws up the chicane, it is all his.
Nice and easy down into the corner. He's not taking any chances. Nice and easy out of the corner. Troy Schuster is going to take the win here at Spa-Francorchamps in the GT2 class.
There goes J.D. Baumgartner across the start finishing right now to win
just
for the caddies.
Them. And he has won every single race, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, in the caddies since he entered. Now, where is our leader, Jim McInnes, in the GT3s? 4 for 4 in the last 4 rounds. Gonna make it 5 for 5. Jim McInnes on a streak. Finishes up his championship win, which he clinched in the last round here at Spa-Francorchamps. So those are our 4 winners. That should be most of the drivers done today here around the final round of Spa-Francorchamps in the Autobahn Motorcar Group Sports Car Challenge. So we are going to go to break. We'll come back with the unofficial results as well as driver interviews. Stick around because we have our upcoming races on the screen. Welcome back to Spa-Francorchamps, home of the final round, as well as the opening round of the Autobahn Motorcar Group Sportscar Challenge. Season 2 ends here, and Season 3 will begin here. But today, when we close the book on this chapter, it's John Ulmer that comes away with the win and the championship, incredibly, in the final round, going from second to first in the points. Jason Gerard comes home second, and Robert Tinsey rounds out the podium. Matt Quinn runs to a quiet fourth after an early problem set him back in the pack. Then Mark Ponick gets a top 5. David Sockrider finishes in 6th, with Robert Jackman in 7th and Chance Kelly in 8th. Kevin Santana was not able to be caught by DeVries, so Santana claims 9th, and DeVries finishes 10th and last in the HPD, seeing the championship slip away in the final moments. Kevin?
Troy Schuster, your winner in the Corvettes today, in 11th overall. Paul Darling in 12th. Dino Topich in 13th. Kevin Binkley in 14th. Billy Smith 2 in 15th. Paul Slavonic in 16th. Dave Hill in 17th. David J. Henry in 18th. Christopher Sherburne in 19th. And J.D. Baumgartner with that top 20. Well done, Sir Bill.
Yeah, finishing ahead of all the GT3 cars. In the 21st position, 10th in class is Sheldon Woloshin. Then we have Jim McGinnis and Robbie Morrison going 1-2 in the GT3. Robert Shalenka in the Corvette. Brandon Postma second in the Caddies. Mark Gugu Gajubinski running in 26th overall. 1-2 third in class, I believe, so he made the podium. Paul Lindsay 27th. Leif Peterson 28th. Dexter Castro got the Dory Award, 29th, 4 laps down. And in 30th position, Matt Owens. Joe?
Then it's Darren Kuhn finishing 31st. Joe Wren in 32nd, who certainly will be having a few talks with drivers after this race. Ross Booth finished 33rd, followed by Ryan Bird in 34th. Brett Trocine comes home 35th, with Kyle Pitts in 36th. John Paquin, a disappointing 37th in his final race this season. And Ben Likens in 38th. That should be everybody who did take the start. Sheldon Rosenbaum, David McCowd, and Jeffrey Price did not start. So let's do some interviews. First off, let's talk to our HPD race winner and championship winner, John Ulmer. What a twist that developed. John, we saw you took the lead early on in the race and then was not willing to give it up, fighting hard the whole way. Was that your plan from the start? Just get up front and try to stay up front as long as you could?
Yeah, I mean, I needed a lot of help to get the championship, so I had to make sure that I ran a flawless race, and this isn't traditionally a very good track for me pace-wise. So I tried to set my gears to where make it hard for people to draft on me and try to get in the front. If it didn't work, it wasn't going to work, but I did everything I could to make it work.
Well, I'm hoping by now you're aware that you have won the championship according to our calculations. Of course, it is unofficial, but again, congratulations on the championship and the win. This is your first since VIR. Does it feel good to be back at the top step?
Yeah, you have no idea. It's finally a race where I don't go, what, again?
I can only imagine. Well, unfortunately, we have a lot of people to talk to with both champions and race winners to get through. So we just want to wish you congratulations and let you go enjoy some champagne.
Okay, thank you. I would say one thing. I want to say thanks to the league for making this great this season, and Jason DeVries was the real class of this of my division. It's unfortunate he didn't get the championship the way it ended, but thanks you guys. Thanks everybody else.
Thanks for coming and talking to us, and thanks for organizing this league. That was John Ulmer, your winner today at Spa, and your championship winner in the prototype class. Up next, I believe Kevin is going to be talking to Kevin Binkley, our championship winner in the GT2 class, although he did not win today.
Kevin, first of all, I want to congratulate you on your very smart parents with your name choice there. And well done on a hard-fought win today.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
So tell us a little bit about the end there, because you had Paul Darling closing you down. Was it in the bag for you? Were you coasting or were you running out? Tell us about that, the end there.
Now you're talking about Troy. I was way far back today. I had a tough one today.
Completely goofy here. Yeah, no, congratulations on your championship, not your win.
There we go.
Yeah, I'm just a little goofy here. Yeah, congratulations on the championship. So 13 races in and easily done there. So as I recall, it was pretty much wrapped up for you before the race even started today. Nothing you could do to lose it, right?
Yeah, that's right. Troy had a heck of a race today. He was fast. Paul as well. Dino as well had pace. Spa is just not my track. No matter what I do, I can't seem to really get the speed here. I can't run that car with low downforce. I just can't control it. So I had to put downforce on it and just, run my own race today.
Well, maybe a little boring then, but you've got the solace of the championship to take home with you. Congratulations on that.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it, guys.
That was Kevin Binkley, who came home in 4th position in the GT2 class, but won the championship this season in the Autobahn Motorcar Group Sports Car Challenge in the GT2 class. So up next, we have championship winner and race winner once again. And that is in the GT3 class. Bill is talking to Jim McInnes, Mr. Consistency.
Yeah, Jim making it easy on us here. We can get the winner and the champion all in one. Jim, congratulations on the win today and the overall championship. First of all, talk about the race. Had a little excitement, the cars ahead of you when Castro and Paquin was out, and all of a sudden you found yourself in a battle for the lead.
Yeah, I didn't know Castro was involved. I just saw John Paquin's car pass over mine, so I think the Lord was looking down on me because I think I went underneath his car, and yeah, so that was pretty intense racing with Robbie. That was he kept a lot of pressure up. We passed each other a couple times, and a lot of fun. But boy, I was under a lot of pressure.
Yeah, you got around him right before the pit stops, and then you have really seemed to do well. Again, you gained a couple seconds in the pit cycle. How do you do that? Is that something you plan on, you calculate, or are you just good at it?
No, I just I calculate how much fuel I need, and then come in when I'm within my window. Play that a little bit. Sometimes you want to duck in early to get stuck behind some slower cars or whatever. But I pretty much went to the end of the window and took my 11.8 gallons. That was it. No tires. I mean, none of us take tires in the G. Sometimes John Paquin can because he build up enough gap where he's tires. So the rest of us, we just have to go with gas only.
All right, real quickly, last question. First of all, you've made my 92-year-old mother-in-law very happy. You've become her favorite driver. She tells me, stop picking on Jim McInnes. Don't call him names. Don't call him Mr. Carpool or whatever. He's a good driver. Let's talk about next season. Are you going to stick with the BMW? You going over to the roof?
I'm going to stay in the BMW.
Well, we look forward. This has been a great season and really a great example of how to just race clean. Man, first, seconds, thirds the whole season. Congratulations. I can't wait for next season, John or Jim.
All right. Well, thank you very much.
All right, Joe.
We have our other winner from the GTD class. That would be JD Baumgardner. And even though he wasn't in the championship this year, it looks like he probably could have been, as he has won every single race he's entered in this league so far. And JD, well, we were kind of surprised to see you in the Cadillac. Is there a reason that you stayed in that today instead of jumping over to the Vets?
I saw a really good paint scheme that I wanted to show Bill. So the opportunity presented itself, so I thought I'd stay in it one more.
Well, we're sad to say that it didn't shake Bill as much as we had hoped. So I was happy we enjoyed you planning that little paint scheme for poor Bill and his colorblindness. Well, we know you're jumping over to the Vets next season, and have you gotten a chance to really try and drive those cars, get some practice between them and the Astons? Do you know what to expect, or is that going to be a big mystery for you?
We had a practice session, I think, last week, where a lot of us jumped over into the GT1 cars. So yeah, it's a better car. It's probably a little more fun, to be honest. But some of those guys in GT1 are really, really, really fast. So next year it'll be good.
So we won't be seeing that dominance for you. Again, congratulations on the win on the top of the podium once more. Hopefully you can get up there in the other class. Thanks for talking to us.
Thanks, guys.
That was JD Baumgartner, our winner in the GTD class today. One more person that we want to talk to, and that is Danny Kane, one of the league admins, I believe. Unfortunately, I can't remember his official position. We'll have to ask Danny here as he comes in the booth. Danny, I believe you wanted to tell us a few things about next season, season 3, and the AMG SC, and we're eager to hear. We know a few things such as the car classes, but what are some of the changes and rules and such as well?
Yeah, we've got a lot of changes that we made for next season. A lot of really exciting changes, actually. Obviously, we're going down to 3 classes. We're going to have the prototypes, the GTLM and the GT3 classes. You guys covered that in the race broadcast pretty thoroughly. I think the other major change is because we're going down to 3-car teams, we're no longer going to have a point system where only the top 3 drivers from each team scores. Well, we are going to have that, except that all drivers on a team are going to score points for the team championship in the end. So aside from that, we've got our schedule set up for next season. It begins again in about 4 weeks' time, and we're really excited about it. It's going to be really a nice change. And I wanted to mention the other major change that we're going to have is our qualifying format. We've had qualifying be 4 hours long for all of these races, and we're going to change that up a little bit so that we can have a little bit more of an even keel for the qualifying sessions for everybody. They'll be qualifying just with their own class, and hopefully that'll be evening things out a little bit.
So it sounds like with all drivers counting, it's going to be extra critical to build a solid team. And speaking of that, I understand that you guys, I believe that was implemented for this season with the iRating cap, but I believe it's changed for next season as far as who they can bring onto their team, and how does that going to work?
Well, we still have the iRating cap. With a 3-man team, it's capped at 8,500 total iRating between the 3 drivers for a 3-man team. For a new team, an existing team, a team that has 2 drivers from this season carrying over, that cap is up to 8,750, and that's just so that we could have some of the 4 driver teams be able to rearrange themselves into 3 driver teams without having to worry too much about that cap. It's kind of allowing them to be grandfathered in a little bit.
Sounds like an excellent plan. I have to tell you, we were obviously a little overwhelmed the first time we came in with all the incredible action going on, but we have grown to really love the series, and we are looking forward to broadcasting it with you guys on season 3. So thank you for bringing us on.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for being here for us. Thanks to all that you guys have been doing, and we all absolutely adore going back and watching the broadcasts afterwards. The pizza analogies have been particularly popular. I just from a personal point of view, I'd also wanted to thank John for everything that he's done for the league, and to the Autobahn Motorcar Group for sponsoring the league.
Well, thanks for coming and talking to us, Danny. It's been a joy getting to hear about what's going on next season, as well as seeing what's happening this season.
Yeah, thank you guys, and we'll see you in a few weeks.
That was Danny Kane, one of the admins for the Autobahn Motorcar Group Sportscar Challenge. Now, I'm going to have to ask our director. I see Jason DeVries up there. He was the one that lost the championship.
Please
All right, we
bring
got
him in.
enough time for real quick. And Bill, I'm going to let you do the honors since you've been so eager about this.
Okay, let's see if we got it. Jason, you have a copy?
Hey, bud, how's it going?
Okay, now, man, I want you to take a deep breath. Think about all the good things in life. We're going to jump right to it. Had a little trouble with the back marker, huh?
I don't need a pep talk. It happens. I drove my tail off for a whole season, and the better man won. It wasn't one race. We had a lot of races to make up the season, and it could have been any one of those races where I didn't get a position or I made a mistake. It wasn't just this. And you look at the season as a whole, John had a better season. He deserved to win. You don't learn anything about your victories. You learn something about yourself in your defeats. This was probably the most difficult defeat I had, and I'm going to become a much better driver out of it, and guys are going to have to look out, because I'm going to be a hell of a lot harder to beat going forward. This will not happen again.
Oh, Joe, he disappointed me. He was way too mature and philosophical. Well, that's impressive. Very good, Deep Freeze.
That was Jason Deep Freeze DeVries, second place finisher in the championship. Unfortunately, 10th place finisher today here at Spa. I was impressed too. I was going to say you were disappointing. I was impressed. That was an incredible response. Great.
Absolutely.
Great driver. If he doesn't win a championship at some point in the series, it'll be a shame. We're going to close.
Real quick before you go, in defense of Ren that we talked about that was having issues, I went back and researched. It is his first race. So it's not that he was being a dirty driver or a bad driver. It's just he didn't understand. You got to hold your line, man. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, it is trial by fire when you hop into these races, that's for sure. A lot of action going on around. We're going to close up today. Of course, we want to thank a few people. First, we want to thank the Autobahn Motorcar Group because they are the official sponsor of the AMG SE. They are located in Fort Worth, Texas, and they specialize in BMW, Porsche, Land Rover, Jaguar, Volvo, and Volkswagen cars. So if you want one of those, definitely go check them out, especially if you are in the Fort Worth, Texas area. Thanks to John Ulmer, the organizer of the league, and thanks to iRacing.com, XSplit, Twitch TV, Audio Technica, Behringer, and AverMedia, the software and hardware that we use to make our broadcast possible. Thanks to the team today, to Kevin, Amjad, Bill, Dougie, and of course to Smitty for helping us in the pits. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, you can find it at www.globalsimracingchannel.com, along with archive races and upcoming broadcasts. We're also on Twitter at GSR Channel and Facebook at /GlobalSimRacingChannel. Make sure and check us out on social media because we love interacting with our fans. Ask us questions and tell us what you think. Also, a special thank you to Eric Ekholm and Casey Lalonde, who both provide music for our broadcasts. You can buy Eric's music on iTunes and Spotify. And you can find Casey's music at caseylalonde.bandcamp.com. Our next race is going to be at Spa once again. As we said, that'll be Monday, October 26th at 9:15 p.m. Eastern. That'll be round 1 of Season 3. We also have upcoming races for other series on the screen, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar. But until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.